The Trump administration is breaking up the National Center for Atmospheric Research in Boulder.
It is an institution in Colorado and in American science, and its research directly challenges President Trump's false claim that climate change is a hoax. Russell Vought, director of the White House Office of Management and Budget, confirmed the plan on social media tonight. He says a review is underway and any NCAR activities considered to be vital will be moved out of NCAR. USA Today broke the story and is reporting that the Trump administration plans to completely close the Mesa laboratory in Boulder. NCAR employs about 700 people. President Trump has threatened to punish Colorado in a variety of ways because the state will not honor his so-called pardon to free his election-denying ally, Tina Peters. Trump can't pardon someone for state crimes. Peters is serving a 9-year sentence at a state prison in Pueblo for leading a scheme to break into Colorado's voting systems in a failed attempt to prove Trump's claims about election rigging. Democratic Governor Jared Polis has repeatedly refused to pardon or otherwise release Peters. Today, we spoke with the governor for the first time since Trump announced that so-called pardon.
Has your administration ever negotiated with the Trump administration to trade Tina Peters for something you want?
Well, these are requests that would come from us. We do have 11 inmates in federal detention because we've requested it. And usually the reason is they're a danger in the facility.
Polis repeatedly sidestepped questions today about whether there were back-channel negotiations over a deal to release Peters. Today, a social media account that posts messages on Peters' behalf from prison publicly disavowed the idea of an armed prison break to free her. Supporters of Peters, including her own attorney, have endorsed the idea of a military raid or the use of other force or violence to get her out of prison or punish those who have kept her there.
Xcel is preparing roughly 50,000 of its customers across the Front Range for the possibility of planned power outages tomorrow. The utility's latest map shows the shutoff could impact the West Metro area, a few areas southeast of Fort Collins, and between Loveland and Longmont. Xcel says it could cut power beginning at 10 tomorrow morning. It's all because of strong winds in the forecast combined with high fire danger. Xcel has a press conference planned for tomorrow morning at 8. That's when they're expected to provide the latest information. For now, we're going to throw things over to 9 News Chief Meteorologist Kathy Sabin with a look at the conditions and what we're expecting.
Kim, it's the calm before the windstorm tonight. Temperatures are mild, winds are light. Even the flags outside the studios here, not a lot happening. But when we wake up, it's going to be a whole different story. Westerly downsloping winds have kept temperatures above average today. We're still in the low 50s in downtown Denver this hour. There isn't a lot of wind on the map yet. It's actually decreased after sunset. But with the approach of a storm system, we're going to see that pressure gradient tighten. And we're going to see an extreme wind forecast play out along the Front Range, similar to what we saw about a week ago, where we could have trees come down, power lines come down. This prolonged drought and period of warm, unusually dry weather has created a critical fire weather scenario that the winds now are amplifying. This system will bring a little snow to the mountains, but with the snow comes the wind, blowing snow, and tough travel on I-70. Red flag warning goes out tomorrow for Denver and the Front Range, along with a high wind warning for the potential for gusts at the base of the foothills to be about 80 and 90 miles per hour. We're not seeing a lot of wind yet, not much moisture yet, but that storm is coming in later tonight into tomorrow. So the temperatures will trend comfortable, and your weather headlines will have much more on the fire weather warning in just a bit.
High winds can bring potential damage with them.
9 News reporter Janelle Finch joins us out west with how folks are preparing what could be a wild day tomorrow.
For some Front Range communities, tomorrow will bring the second windstorm over the last week. We found one person still recovering from the first round of strong winds. When wind picks up, Dustin Ostrander gets down to business.
Sometimes we do a little bit of fire mitigation and tree work and cleanup, and primarily we do decks, basements, bathrooms, and kitchens.
He owns Ostrander Construction Services in Blackhawk. He said he had multiple jobs last week related to high damaging winds.
We had a customer who had a tree go through her master bedroom window. We had another customer, a previous customer, who had a tree fall on their house and take off, I think, a half a dozen shingles.
He says those jobs were in Idaho Springs and Nederland, but the storm still found a way to hit close to home.
True. We had a tree that blew over on one of the cars that we had here for another project that we were going to build here this month, but nature had a different outcome.
And that tree is still on that car.
It is still on there because I haven't had time to get it off. I've been dealing with everyone else's stuff. So
Ostrander says more extreme wind in the forecast has him on alert. He says he's keeping an eye on his property and his phone line.
I have job sites that I got to be out to, and we're preparing the wind for that. Like we have porta potties and things that we got to make sure secured down and material and things prepared for the storm. So that's where I'll be in the morning.
Even though the winds may bring him more work, Ostrander doesn't want too much destruction to blow his way.
I'm hoping that everyone has got their things secured and the wind has knocked a lot loose that needed to, but I'm hoping people secure everything that needs to be so it's not as much damage.
Ostrander's electricity provider is United Power. He says that he hasn't heard from the company about any potential planned power shutoffs, so he says that tomorrow he'll likely spend the day helping others if his services are needed. Live in Golden, Janelle Finch, 9 News.
Some Colorado schools are closing their campuses or changing class schedules because of the possibility of planned power outages. Clear Creek RE1 will be closed tomorrow. Weld RE4 will operate on a modified schedule. Other districts are promising to provide updates tomorrow. CU Boulder's campus will be closed, though students took their final exams last week. The school is also hosting a men's basketball game against Portland State at 7 tomorrow night. CU says if that game cannot be played, they'll make that call by 3 p.m. The utility that powers Longmont is not planning a preemptive power shutoff, but the city is preparing for a windy Wednesday. They're sending out extra garbage trucks tomorrow morning, trying to prevent trash from getting blown all around the city. They're telling everyone to have their bins out by 7 a.m. Good on them. The conditions forecasted for tomorrow wouldn't have always led to a red flag warning, but the experts of the National Weather Service have learned from previous events.
9 News reporter Colton Chavez joins us from Boulder tonight. Colton, National Weather Service says the lessons learned from the Marshall Fire really are driving their decision making.
Yeah, Kyle, and ultimately, that's what it comes down to. They say the lesson they learned 5 years ago is the reason why our red flag warning is in place for tomorrow.
This is our graphical forecast editor.
When it comes to forecasting Colorado weather,
We break down wind speeds and wind gusts by hour out to 7 days.
the National Weather Service in Boulder considers every detail.
We're expecting very strong wind gusts tomorrow, up to 90-mile-per-hour wind gusts in the higher elevations. Along and west of the I-25 corridor, we could still see wind gusts 60, 70 miles an hour.
Jennifer Stark, the meteorologist in charge, says that's why a red flag warning has been issued just 2 weeks before the 5-year mark of the Marshall Fire.
So with the Marshall Fire, we had cured fuels, we had very strong winds, but the relative humidities remained kind of high. You know, in that case, we didn't have a red flag warning out.
Details that have changed when they issue a red flag warning because of the lessons learned.
Maybe the relative humidities are slightly above 15%, which they will be tomorrow. We're thinking like 17 to 20%. But there's so many other factors that are going to be overwhelming that if a wildfire were to start, it's going to spread quickly. It's going to be hard to control, hard to contain.
Details that Stark says helps keep Colorado communities safe.
Every event needs a critical eye placed to it, and then we have to look at like the antecedent conditions, what has happened before the wind event.
She says when it comes to forecasting Colorado weather, the science has to change with the weather.
We're not saying static. We're able to, make changes that make improvements, hopefully.
Now, Stark wants to remind everybody that a red flag warning, it's exactly that, a warning, an opportunity to let communities know to be prepared and to also avoid any of those outdoor activities that could start a fire. Live in Boulder tonight, Colton Chavez, 9 News.
Tie yourself down and stick with 9 News and 9 News Plus for the latest on this windstorm as it blows in tomorrow. We'll be tracking its impacts on air and online. And download the 9 News app for free in the Apple and Google Play stores.
The Clear Creek County Sheriff's Office and Town of Georgetown are entering into a long-term agreement for law enforcement services. Terms of the 5-year agreement include a phased-in patrol presence of up to 3 deputies for a combined 120 hours per week, a patrol supervisor to serve as point of contact for the Town of Georgetown, criminal investigations and evidence services, public records services, and code enforcement services. For the past year, the Clear Creek County Sheriff's Office has been providing law enforcement services for Georgetown through temporary intergovernmental agreements. Those short-term agreements allowed time for the town to determine whether to reinstate its police department or contract with the Clear Creek County Sheriff's Office long-term, which they decided to do.
People living in Weld County should once again be receiving emergency alerts after that county's Code Red system went down last month. County leaders are telling residents that Crisis 24, which owns Code Red, has successfully transferred subscriber data into their platform and can resume sending emergency alerts if requested by local law enforcement. Code Red went offline last month after concerns from their IT department. The move forced Weld County to rely on a backup agreement with Larimer County. Despite the announcement, county leaders say they are continuing to look at a possible new emergency alert notification system.
New tonight, the owners of a funeral home in Penrose, where nearly 200 decomposing bodies were discovered, have entered new guilty pleas. John and Carrie Halford ran the Return to Nature funeral home. They've already pleaded guilty to state charges, but a judge rejected both of those deals after family members of the victims argued they were too lenient. Tonight, the district attorney's office announced both Halfords agreed to new deals. John's would come with a 30 to 50-year prison sentence, Carrie's 25 to 35 years. There will be a hearing on Monday to decide if the court accepts those guilty pleas. If they are accepted, John's sentencing will be in February, Carrie's in April.